The longest wait any person could face is probably the life or death wait for an organ transplant. So does that mean anything that encourages a prospective organ donor to act is necessarily a good thing? Our cover story is reported by Wyatt Andrews, who found a surprising group of people willing to give what you might call the ultimate gift.
Yes, I donated a kidney.
To a woman you didn't know?
Correct.
This past February, Paul Wagner did an extraordinary thing. He gave away his left kidney to a perfect stranger.
Why did you do this?
I get that question. I wanted to do something nice for somebody.
That somebody is Gail Tomas Willis, a 67-year-old former opera singer from Philadelphia and mother of two, who is now growing healthier thanks to Paul's kidney.
How is it that you came to get a kidney from him?
Well, he saw me on MatchingDonors.com, and he contacted me.
MatchingDonors.com is the website where Paul and Gail, donor and recipient, found each other. It's one of a handful of new sites that try to match living organ donors willing to help patients in need of transplants. Potential donors come to these sites and sort through page after page, appeal after appeal, like these. Please help me have a normal life again. Or, I want my dad back. When Paul Wagner scrolled through these pleas, he stopped at Desperately Needs Your Help to Live. It was posted by Gail.
Who could not read that story? Desperately need your help to live.
Right.
This was a real human being who had a family and whose family wanted to keep their mother. And I just couldn't turn my back on that.
Organ transplantation in America used to be extraordinary, a miracle kind of operation. Now it's an everyday thing. Even organ donations from living donors, typically from friends or relatives, are commonplace. These are the medal ceremonies for last month's transplant games. Think the Olympics, except that every athlete has had a transplant, and dozens of these spectators are the donors.
My first gold.
But the achievement here, the real gold medalist, is transplant medicine itself.
I had a heart attack and a triple bypass last April, and then a heart transplant August the 5th. And I'm competing in 8 events, and I'm just grateful to be alive.
Transplantation works. It's successful. It's no longer an experiment. It's the absolute best medical therapy that can be applied.
If the transplant does not come from a living friend or relative, most people turn to a list kept by UNOS, the United Network for Organ Sharing. It's a system set up by the federal government that relies completely on donors who have died.
Hey, I have a pancreas offer for you guys.
When a willing donor dies, UNOS distributes the organs, the heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, even the intestines, to the sickest patients ranked on an organ-by-organ list. Last year, there were more donors than ever, but far from enough. While there were 28,000 transplants, the number of patients needing them exceeded 90,000. It's a number that's growing every day.
If you went today on the kidney list of how long you would wait.
Between a year and 5 or 6 years.
Frank Delmonico is a transplant surgeon and the president of UNOS.
How many people die in America every year waiting for an organ?
It's about 8,000 individuals out of what will be soon about 100,000 people are on the list.
You know, the UNOS list to me is a dying list. You're waiting to die.
The fear of dying while waiting is what sends patients like Mike Molinaro of Chicago to the internet. A 52-year-old father of two, he suffers kidney failure and has been on dialysis waiting more than 3 years.
How urgent is it that you have a new kidney?
I'd say it's fairly urgent. I've shared the room, the dialysis room, with a number of people who have passed away. And I don't want to become one of them, unfortunately. It's just a fact. I want to live.
Mike posted his plea on MatchingDonors.com, determined to fight for his life.
You've got to go out there and say, you know, here's who I am, here's what I'm about, and I need your help.
But many doctors believe it's unethical for donors to essentially shop online for someone to help.
I strongly believe that the donor should not be able to pick their recipient.
Dr. Doug Hanto, Chief of Transplant Surgery at Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital in Boston, says organs should go to the sickest patients.
Not the person who's got the best story, the best picture, or the best website. That's really our bottom line, is that it should go to the person who needs it the most.
Dr. Hanto fears that donations based on a compelling Internet story may undermine the fairness of the UNOS list, which is based on need.
If people think that because you have the ability to advertise or you're famous that you can jump the list, then we're not going to have a system that is fair to everyone on the waiting list, and we'll have a free-for-all.
If I get a kidney, I'm off the list, and the next guy moves up a spot.
Some people would say that if you're going to have live donations, they should go to the sickest.
And I wouldn't argue with that. I think if there was some sort of system out there today to do that, I don't think I would have a big argument or a fight with that, but there is no system today.
Remember, the UNOS list handles donations from the dead. There is no formal national registry linking the sickest patients with donors who are alive.
Every single patient on this site gets contacted by a donor within 30 days.
The founders of MatchingDonors.com, Paul Dooley and Dr. Jeremiah Lowney, created it 2 years ago after Dooley's father died waiting for a kidney. They argue their site, which has matched 28 transplants so far, does nothing to threaten the UNOS list.
We're bringing new people, live organ donors, into the current system to help.
And Dr. Lowney believes those donors want to know whom they are saving.
Just as if they donate their time or make a financial donation, they're interested in knowing where it's going and making sure that they feel comfortable who it's going to.
It was my kidney, and I will bequeath it to whom I choose.
Paul Wagner believes knowing the recipient's story will bring more donors out of the woodwork.
It helped me to make a personal connection with Gail, and it made my decision to donate that much easier.
But that very question, what motivates the donor, is one thing that makes everyone nervous.
I have to ask you if any money changed hands here.
Not one red cent.
But Gail does admit that one would-be donor from overseas did ask for money, even though Matching Donors removes from the site anyone who tries to sell an organ. Everyone else she heard from, including Paul Wagner, wanted nothing in return.
What would be your answer to those people who might think to themselves, he's got to want something from her?
My agenda was about myself. I wanted to do something good. That's my payment. You can't buy that with money.
What Paul did earn was Gail Willis's grateful friendship. In fact, last month, when Gail's son Nico got married, Paul was a special guest.
And I said, this is Paul Wagner, this is my donor. They all just embraced him. It was just wonderful. And they couldn't stop hugging him. They couldn't stop thanking him for helping me.
When Gail did the dance with her son, I was crying. I was moved. It made me feel, what I did a good thing. I did a good thing.
That was your gift.
That was my reward, and I just may cry on you now too. that made everything worthwhile. That's what I set out to do. Mission accomplished.
And now the same goes for Mike Molinaro. 3 days ago, on Thursday, he received a kidney from a donor he found on MatchingDonors.com. The donor left the hospital Friday, and Molinaro is already out of bed, back on his feet.